Hello students, welcome back to our lecture series Understanding Computers, and from today we will dive into the actual syllabus. Like in the first lecture we have introduced Understanding Computers, our lecture series, and we have talked about the importance of computer in our life, or what are the roles that play computer in our life. Now I hope all of you have understood the topic, the first lecture. And if you have any doubt related to the first lecture video, you can post it. I will be circulating a form, and in that form you can ask your doubt. You can input your question, and I will be referring to all of those questions via this video or personally. So let's move on to the today's topic, and today we will be talking about different parts of computer and what makes a computer. So, if you remember, I have talked that there are many devices out there, but all of them are not computer. Then, what makes a computer a computer? So, we will be talking about that, and after that, we will discuss the different parts of the computer, and also, if time permits, we will talk about the memory devices, the storage devices. So, let's start. So, I have written here sky is limit. You always heard this quote, sky is limit, and I know very well that you all of you understand its meaning. But the motivation that this quotation gives lets us fly, lets us improve our knowledge. So in earlier days, there were many tools that have been developed, like the greatest invention, wheels, or printing press. Let me change the marker. Wheels, and the printing press, like, and many more things. But all of these tools that were invented, right? All of these tools that were invented helped us to do the manual work or the physical work. So the only motivation for computer was to do the thinking work, like to solve a problem, to solve a problem. But what kind of problem? The thinking kind of problem. Thinking. Like doing mathematics. As you all remember that I have told you that initially computer was just to solve the simple mathematical calculation. Now, then what? Then the question is, what makes a computer? So the very basic principle or the features of computer is to take an input. Let me talk first. To take an input and we store it, right? Like we store it and then we process the information or whatever the input that we have got, and then we output the result. So we take an input, we store it, we process it, and then we output. Input, store, process, and output. All of these work simultaneously. All of these work simultaneously. We always take input, we store it, we process it, we again store the result, and then we output the result. So all of those devices which do these four basic things is a computer. There are many devices which take input and which shows the result, but it does not store it or process it. So the the fundamental feature of computer is these four: input, store, process, and output. So okay, so these are the fundamental things that a computer does. So you may have a question that today's computer, which is very advanced, can do these four things. What about the computer of earlier days? In earlier days, computer were the size of a room. The size of the computer were as big as the room, and the computer used to be made up of wood and metals. And there were some clunky elements and the flashlight that goes on. So it says click click and all. So how earlier computer and today's computer are same? Because the fundamental properties of computer is still the same. It takes an input, it stores it, it processes the result, process the input, and find the desired result and output. So these are the four things that makes a computer or that constitutes a computer. Now we will talk about all these four things in detail. So the first thing is input. So what are the inputs that we provide to the system or the computer and how do we do it? So before talking about what are the types of input, let's talk about the input devices through which we input our data or information. So what are the input devices? So today we have input devices like mouse, keyboard, touchpad in the laptop. We have touchpad on the screen, touch screen. All those are input devices. Also, we have mic. That mic also is an input device because we can command our computer to do certain work through the mic or through speech. Also, camera. Camera is also an input device because we click a picture or we click a video and we input it to the computer system. So these are the input devices that we have. There are many more input devices like jockey. So these are the input devices. Let me just write it that you can so that you can copy. It is. There are many more input devices. So now we have input devices and we have a computer system or the CPU. Then how data gets transmitted to the system? Like if you click on the mouse, or we type in some data like numbers or keywords through keyboard, or we touch it, then all those data. Also, let's write sensors. You have your phone, you see there are various kind of sensors on the phone, like gyroscope and many more. So sensors are also an input devices which senses the physical changes around them. So these are our input devices, and the whenever a physical data or any command that we input through these devices, that converts into binary form. How do it convert it? We will talk about it later on. But here is the CPU, and here is the input devices. We input the data like this. So the data or the command that goes through a cable or wires to the CPU, and these data are in the form of binary numbers. Binary form. How binary data traverse into these wires? We will talk about it later under in another section. But this is it. So input devices, we click on it or we input the data. Data gets converted into the binary form, and that binary form data is accepted by the CPU, and it stores it. When we input the data, data gets transmitted to the CPU, and CPU will store it. So we come at the store part. Now the data that has been input to this storage device is in the binary form. The data which was input in the storage devices is in the binary form. What does that mean is that the storage device collects the data and stores it in binary form. So what are the different types of storage devices? So there are four main types of storage devices. First one is register. Second one is cache. Third one is main memory. And fourth one is secondary storage. Device. I hope you can see it. So there are four types of, or let's say four classification of storage devices, which are register, cache memory, main memory, and secondary memory. And we call main memory primary memory. So what is register, what is cache memory, what is main memory or primary memory, and what is secondary storage device? Let's talk about it. So register is the fastest memory that has fastest access of data. Let's consider a library. Then there will be a librarian who will give you the books. So you go there and you see there is a counter, and on the counter there are some books. Those books are generally such books which are often required by readers, like let's say Harry Potter books. So these books are frequent, so it will be kept on the counter itself, so that every time a reader come and ask for a Harry Potter book, then he simply can give it to you. And then that kind of memory is this register memory. That is, it is connected to directly through the processor. Then the next part is cache memory. So just after the counter, the librarian sits and he keeps some book around him on the ground. So whenever there is requirement of book which falls under this category that has more area and we have more books around on the ground as compared to the space on the counter. So these falls under the cache memory concept. That is, it is here also just beside the librarian, but there is more space and the librarian has a little difficulty to access it. So this it is connected to the processor it's also, but it is less in speed. Also lesser, it has lesser speed, but it has more size than register. So another one is that the librarian has a shelf just beside it, and there are many books on the shelf. So he can stand up and go there on the shelf and take the book. So that kind of the memory resembles with main memory concept. That you have to actually wait for some time, and we can access the data. And the secondary storage device is, let's say, after all these three parts, the whole library is secondary library. That is, it has much more space, but in terms of speed, it is very less. So these are the classifications based on the speed, space. Space will increase, and speed will increase in this direction. So from this register has the highest speed, then cache memory, then main memory, then secondary storage devices. And in terms of space, it goes down. Like secondary storage devices has the highest space, then main memory. Let's say we say that hard disk drive, we have hard disk drive of 1 TB or 1000 GB, but we have main memory or the RAM. The RAM itself is the main memory. So we have RAM of 2 GB, 3 GB, 4 GB. So there is a huge difference in the speed. And we have cache memory. Cache memory is of the size of about 6 MB. So it is 6 MB generally. And the register is very less. It comes in numbers only, which are in bits or bytes. It can store only 1 byte or one byte data. So there are certain kinds of register. There are different types of register that you will learn in higher classes. About these two you will learn in higher classes, and these are the two kind of memory that you have already learned in previous classes also. So these are the classification of storage devices. In the secondary storage devices, we have SSD or hard disk drive, a magnetic tape, CD. So, and also today we have in the SSD, solid state disk. Before we talk about the processing part, let's talk about the output part. So we have, for the output, we have output devices. Then output devices also access the data in the form of binary numbers. Okay, so CPU will give the instruction to output devices. CPU will give the instruction to output devices to how to generate the output. So it will send output devices signals through cables in binary form. So CPU will give the output devices instructions in binary form, and according to those instructions, output devices will output the desired result or the result generated. And the types of output devices are monitor, which you know, speaker also, because speaker is also an output devices, printer through which we can print. So these are the output devices. There is not much to know about output devices. Let's now talk about processing unit, or how processing occurs. So I have drawn the figure of motherboard, or rather say CPU. The main part of CPU is this motherboard, and in that motherboard we have processors. Motherboard is basically a group of big circuit. So on that circuit, or on that motherboard, we have processor, we have RAM, we have ROM. So I told you that RAM is a random access memory. You know, RAM is the main memory. All the process gets loaded into RAM, and then processor will process it. And ROM is also a storage device, but it stores all the data that is initially provided by the system manufacturer or the computer manufacturer about all the opcodes that you will learn later on. So we can't change anything in ROM. We can't change anything in ROM. It is preloaded and we can't change it. It is called read-only memory. As you can understand by the term read, that you can't write on it or you can't store any information by yourself. So processor, we have processor and we have SMPS, which is basically the power supply. And the full form of SMPS is switching mode power supply. So there is nothing to know about SMPS. It just controls the voltage or the power of the CPU. But let's talk about processor now. So let me just erase it. Also, you have seen that I have written hard disks over there. So hard disk is connected to the motherboard. Hard disk is connected to the motherboard and it does not lie on the motherboard. So processor is basically the heart of computer. So every instruction or every command that is given to the computer is completed by processor, or all the commands goes into the processor and processor will take decisions or calculate things. Everything is done by processor. So processor has basically two important parts, ALU and CU. Arithmetic logical unit and control unit. So arithmetic logical unit contains all the circuit which helps in the calculation part, like mathematical calculations, and also logical calculations, like something is equal to something. Let's say 2 is equal to 3. It is not correct. So that decision will be taken by logical unit, and the performing operations like mathematical calculations will be performed by arithmetic unit. So together it is known as arithmetic and logical unit, and it works simultaneously. Because in every mathematical calculations we have both the things running all together. And another one is control unit. So what control unit does is it controls the process or the command. Also it gives the signal which device to use and which peripheral device to use and whatnot. So control unit basically controls all the signals that is transferring in between the computer system. So the summary of today's lecture is, now we will show it diagrammatically. So here is the user, that is you. Now you input a data, so data comes here, and through input devices it got converted into the binary form. Now this binary form got stored in this storage devices, and using that storage devices, it comes to the processing unit. So processor will process it, or whatever the command is, it will get executed here, and the result will again get stored in the storage devices. And from that storage devices, we will send the data to output devices, and then output devices will convert into the normal form that we see or that we can understand, and that data will be visualized to us, or we can listen to it. So whatever the output devices is, depending on it. So data is here is in binary form, again in binary, and now converted into normal form. So which we can actually understand. So let's take an example to see how all this perform. So now let's visualize. Here is the user. User gives the computer command to perform this operation, which is 2 plus 3. Now through input devices, it gets converted into binary form. The binary form of 2 is 1 0 and 3 is 1 1. So it gets stored, this command gets stored here. Now this command will be fetched by the processor. So processor will fetch this command 1 0 plus 1 1 and then execute it internally using the adder circuit, which is existing in the ALU, arithmetic and logical unit, and now it will generate the result as 101. So now 101 gets stored in the storage device, and this 101 through wire flows to the output devices, which is, let's say, monitor here, and then this output device will convert this binary number into the actual data or the decimal number. So this 101 will be converted to 5. So that here 2 plus 3 got converted into 5. So this whole thing falls under the basic principle of computer, which is user input the data gets stored, then the data gets fetched by the processor and it gets processed. Whatever the execution will be, the result will eventually get stored in the storage device, and that result from storage device gets transmitted to the output device, and the result will be shown in decimal digit. So this is the whole basic thing that a computer does, and we have understood all the input devices, storage devices, output devices, and we also have understood about processing unit. So beyond that, there is no need to know for you. Now in the next lecture, we will talk about how this conversion happens, like how 2 gets converted into 1 0 through a wire. So for all of that and more, we will meet in next session. Thank you all.